What up, y'all? It's your boy Ben here, and welcome back to another Pokemon Pocket video for you all. Today we're going to dive deep into Pokemon Pocket. We kind of are figuring out the meta. We see just kind of like these similar decks that are popping up, typically the ones that you're facing constantly. But the question of the matter is, what are some of those hidden gems? What are some of those surprise decks that you could be playing that will catch your opponent off guard and still give you a fighting chance to win against them? So for today's video, we're gonna go into that exactly, and as always, y'all go ahead, hit that like button, subscribe, and click the notification bell button. We're getting so close to 10,000 subscribers and beating our goal of hitting that before June, so let's go ahead and make that happen. All right, y'all, let's go ahead and dive into some spicy decks that are the best decks that nobody's playing right now. Up first, we have a Lake Trio deck, y'all, with Giratina EX. When I told y'all spicy, here we go. So this is like really cool here because we have our Lake Trio. We have Uxie here for 1 energy. You take a psychic energy from your energy zone and attach it to either Mesprit or Azelf. Azelf does 20 to that back line or anywhere actually, but then that softened things up for Giratina. And then you have Mesprit here. For 3 psychic energy, you're able to deal 160. You can think of this deck in one of 2 ways. You can lead Giratina and build up your back for the Lake Trio, keeping them nice and safe. If they ever Sabrina you throw in a Pokemon here like Uxie or Azelf, so that way your second copy can do that. And then you have your big heavy hitter with like a Rocky Helmet or a Giant Cape, really just to survive. And while you're boosting this up, right, like you could put your psychic energy on Mesprit and then get your Broken Space Bellow here to give you psychic energy on Giratina. So in reality, this is like on paper how you're finding your pieces. It can work out really well here. Professor's Research Pokeball obviously are key in trying to find this, but I really like this because this deals a lot of damage to an EX Pokemon, and this deals a lot of damage to an EX Pokemon, right? And then this like hits hard. You know, we're including Giovanni's in here, we're including Reds here, so this is a matter of just dealing damage, and that's what this deck can really do in having a good like strong Pokemon alongside of Mesprit as like, what do I do after I discard all this energy, is pretty solid for this deck. Up next, another deck that is making waves here, pun absolutely not intended, but that's actually kind of funny since we have a water Pokemon in here, is this like Darkrai Giratina Greninja deck here. Okay, so like, yes, we see a variation of Darkrai and Giratina, but what I really like about this deck is that it's bringing the wall back, right, with your Judgedon here, and you're finding more and more ways of chip-shotting folks, right? You have your Darkrai, we're running Dark Energy, you have your Greninja, you're hitting for 20 anywhere as well, so you could be chip-shotting the front line and the back line, or doubling into the front line and powering up all the same. So like if you have 1, 2, 3, 4, like if this is like your front line bench here, you're powering this up, you're powering this up, you're chipping away with this mon right here. There's just so many different ways of doing that, and since we're already in a meta, the stall meta so to speak, where you're kind of like their big EX mons aren't really attacking you till turn 3, possibly till turn 4, you have opportunities to Iono and find your pieces for your stage 2 mons. And so this is something very interesting. This has also been able to put up numbers in tournaments. Mind you, this is like where we're like getting kind of these decks where like we're these like power players that aren't meta decks that are still doing well. And so like it's really cool to see like this is something that could still play well. Greninja making a lasting statement saying, hey y'all, I'm still here, is pretty sweet. Speaking of cards that are like making comebacks that like are like, or decks that are making comebacks, we have like the Gyarados EX to Judgedon build here. And so like you have options, right? You have two to Judgedon, so you have a Kangaskhan, you have your Rocky Helmet, one of to like put up on your Judgedon or your Kangaskhan. The idea behind this deck build, which is like really cool, is 140 is a lot. You have 1 red in here in case you need it for 160. However, your opponent has to deal with your Judgedon, and because of, and you know what, your Judgedon whatever, however you say this Pokemon's name. Y'all are already commenting now. Actually, it's like this. It's like, you know what? Please go touch grass. It does not matter. You know which Pokemon I'm talking about. But ideally, they attack this mon, or you are attacking this mon with the Rocky Helmet, or they're attacking this mon with the Rocky Helmet. They are getting chip damage, so they are in line for this 140 no matter what. And the cool part about this is if you have both of these mons on your bench here, even through a Sabrina, you can swap them around, so that way you are protecting your Magikarp and your Gyarados, so that way they're fully healthy by the time that they're ready to attack. You have your plethora of trainers here, which is like a really interesting build, right? Like you have like a lot of one-ofs here. You have one of Irida, one of Leaf, one of Cyrus, one of Misty, one of Sabrina, one of Red, one of Mars. Like essentially this deck is kind of like, look at the board, what do you need to do? Here's a plethora of cards that can help us get there. And I really like the fact that, like, hey, again, we're in stall meta, so like let's just build up our Magikarp in the back, and if we need to start attacking as early as we need to, Kangaskhan, a couple of heads here and there, which you're already like a coin flip kind of deck. If you're running Misty here, means that you're okay with Kangaskhan potentially going for 60 for 1 energy, or potentially going for 0, but either way, still having a very strong performance in this meta right now. Up next, we have this Dragonite Giratina EX deck. Once again, it's kind of like a triple dragon, and yes, this is psychic, but we know we're all just waiting for Giratina EX or Giratina to have a dragon EX version. I felt like Giratina would have been it, but they gave us the psychic version, so we're waiting for our dragon EX soon enough, hopefully. But we're back with our Stally boy here because we're building up for our Dragonite in the back. Since Dragonite needs 4 energy regardless to build up, you have your Giratina using its ability Broken Space Bellow here, so that way it is powering up on its own. What's really nice here too is that, like, you could probably slot in something here, your dealer's choice. Maybe if you want to be really spicy, throw in a Dawn, because your Dragonite just needs 1 water, 1 electric, and any colorless energy from there. So if you Dawn, you get that Dragonite going up early. However, if you're running this one, you're pretty much saying, hey, get through this mon, get through me hitting you for 200 damage on your board, and then you got to deal with me also hitting you for 130 per turn after that. So having to go through 2 basics that are dealing anywhere, you have this mon dealing anywhere between 20 to 60 if they can't deal with it right away, and then dealing with another 200. It has 160 HP. You have plenty of time to get there because of the stall, and then you have your Giratina to follow up afterwards. This deck benefits from the slowdown of the meta that we have right here, and you have plenty of time to assemble your Dragonite. And with the Iono in here and your Pokemon communication, you're finding your pieces more often. So this is just like a wonderful deck to be using if you're like trying to find something else to play, but still want to compete with the damage output that we're seeing from some of these top decks. Up next, as another sneaker here, is Wugtrio EX with Manaphy and Articuno. So you're kind of like working your way of like a different variation of like this stage 1 that deals powerful attacks with a basic mon that can be powered up and your Manaphy. So your Manaphy powers up your basics and your stage 1, and then that goes down, you go into your basic high HP mon, you're dealing damage with that, and then you're finishing off with your stage 1 EX here. So Articuno is pretty sweet. You might question like, why not Origin Form Palkia, but there's different effects here, right? Hitting for 60 and having a heads here means that your opponent can't do anything. They can't attack, they can't retreat, so they're stuck there. So having that to your advantage can mean a lot, especially if you're looking at the board spate and other mons that are dealing like high damage towards that. So that's really cool here. The ability to attack for 150 across the board, the fact that you only need 3 water energy to get up there very quickly. You get 1 quick flip with Misty. Sometimes you just need 1 heads and you're attacking really fast here. And what's really lovely about this deck as well too is that it's energy efficient in terms of the retreat costs. Every single mon here just takes 1 energy to retreat. That's why the opponent or the deck builder here is including 1 X speed. You might be able to run 2. I don't know if you want to replace a red card, probably to be able to do that. And so that way you can just freely move around the board as much as you like without giving up that energy, because we do have a Dawn here. So even like having Wugtrio, like if you have your Wugtrio EX, you have your Manaphy, you put energy, you X speed and then you Dawn up, right? Like it's just wonderful to like get through that. So this deck is fire, it's fast, or I guess not fire, it's water. Let me stop. But it has a lot of play lines here that allows you to manipulate the board while still dealing a lot of fast damage, which is pretty sweet. Up next, we see a Darkrai EX Giratina EX version. Again, you're probably saying, I can just play Darkrai EX, I can just play Giratina EX, so like why run this? It's just, again, another way of still playing an archetype or an energy type that you enjoy playing while still finding different ways to do that that's not the same. And one of the ways to do that here is this Crobat version of it. You're playing Baby Arceus because you really just want your heavy hitter to be Darkrai EX and Giratina EX. And then through this, your board state really looks like one of these two up in the front. Probably your one Giratina, but like if you have your Darkrai, that's also okay. You have your Giant Cape here to like help sustain throughout your piece. But with this Arceus and the Crobat, you're dealing 30, 50, and then with the 80 here, that's 130 damage. With Giratina EX, that's 180 damage. With the red, you can deal up to 200. So there's like being able to just do power output on the board can feel great. And even if you're not hitting your stage 2s, being able to rely on Darkrai, being able to rely on Giratina EX, like that is also a safety net right there. These two mons will carry you for sure, but this is just a nice flourish, a nice cherry on top for being able to attack right away. And if you are able to get this Crobat on board, even if you don't have an RCS, 1 energy for 50 damage is still really, really good. So I like this as well. I like the fact that you can have options. You have your one Iono in here to just kind of shuffle around the board just to make sure that you get this. This is the type of deck that you kind of like keep your cards in your hand in case they also Iono you, so that way you're able to just kind of figure out where your stage 1, your stage 2, your stage 1, all the pieces that you need for it. So overall though, I really like how flexible this set can be because of the options that it provides you. Up next, we have this Mutoscarda and Wigglytuff deck here. I really like this. You're probably looking at this already. It's like, oh, there's Wigglytuff here. Why not Shaman? Why not like that? Well, you know what, like I think the inclusion of having a Wigglytuff here, and I've been able to play this deck before and I've like really had a lot of fun with it, is that with this version and not Shaman, while Shaman is another grass type, it's low to the ground, you can like get this without having to find your pieces here, like you're healing for 10. The advantage of being able to play Jigglytuff is that with Sing, it can give you an extra turn or two, because then your opponent can't attack or retreat if they don't flip heads there, which is like really nice against things like Moltres when you're going against Gyarados, or things like Manaphy, so that way their ramp is down. And then what's also really nice is that for Sprigatito's effect, Cry for Help, it is only building up and getting these Florigatos or these Mioscardas or like the other Sprigatito, right? Like this means that like this Cry for Help is always hitting the pieces that you need here, which is why this deck doesn't run Pokemon Communication or Iono. You're able to do that for Sprigatito and can still find your other piece through like Professor's Research without having to worry about it. And the power output from Mioscarda here with like the 60 damage or the 130 still deals a lot. You can run high with your Team Rocket Grunt, slowing them down. Being able to attack for 2 energy again is really strong here. And then with the Comforting Song to be able to heal up your Pokemon constantly, and then you have your Erica. It does a lot, and it does really well, especially in those higher ranks here, right? Like you're going against a Darkrai, you're going against the Giratinas, you're going against these bigger EX mons. You have your Green Kitty here to survive that, and if you get your Wigglytuff online pretty quickly, which you can because you're thinning your deck anyways with your Sprigatito, those like chip shots that you're getting from Darkrai are all for naught because you can heal back up to full with Erica, and then you have your Comforting Song to like get that away from you. So I really like the sustain that this deck can provide, and healing for 20 per turn can get you over the edge more oftentimes than not. Up next, we have this like Leafeon EX Celebi deck. I like was like surprised to see like this was able to put up some numbers as well too, because I feel like I haven't seen Celebi EX like put up numbers in recent, like in the most recent tournaments, and to kind of see this like pop right back up again makes a lot of sense, right? Like your top decks are Darkrai and your Giratina, right? And so like, how do you combat that? How do you hit hard, and how do you hit hard consistently? And so being able to if you're going second, you attack for 20, you put your Leafeon up, you're already attacking for 70 right there. And then if you have your Celebi and you're going first, you evolve into Leafeon and you start building up your Celebi immediately as well, right? Every single time that you use this ability, you're just powering up your Celebi in the back. And that's like really sweet about this. You can be flipping up to 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever coins, because once this is powered up, it's 2 energy per turn. Like that is so much, so quickly. And so we have Erica's here to keep your Leafeon alive. You have Potions here to keep your Leafeon alive. Your Sabrina for early tempo. Your Giant Capes here to go to 160 to avoid things like a Gyarados or an Arceus or even a Giratina when they're trying to hit you with a red here. So like, and then when you're able to like even Giovanni folks back, you're outreaching a lot here. So this is really sweet of a deck here, being able to stay low to the ground in terms of how many Pokemon that you have, but the impact and the synergy between them is still very powerful, gives you a lot more room for a lot more utility slots, so that way you can continue to attack, which is sweet. And then our last deck that we have here is this Pachirisu Magnezone Pikachu deck. Your feature here is definitely Magnezone. You're running 2 lines of it. You're attacking for 110. Your Pachirisu is powering up your Pikachu EX because your Magnezone will be self-efficient with the Magneton. This is also running just electric energy, so you can still power this up at the same time. But you're saving your Pikachu EX for the final hit. You're allowing the chip damage between the Pachirisu to like soften things up for the Magnezone to be able to reach out into it with the red here as well. 110, 130 goes a very long way, especially with 1 or 2 energy charges with Plasma from a Pachirisu as well. And so like, this is really sweet. You get 110. The idea is to knock out 1 Pokemon and then finish off the second one with a Pikachu. And Pikachu hitting for 150, you are putting a Giant Cape on a Darkrai, a Giratina, or an Arceus. Pikachu still one-shots them, right? If you're facing up against a Charizard, Pikachu EX one-shots a Moltres, and that means you're only dealing with the Charizard left. But even then, you have your Magnezone to like start chipping away. You have your Pachirisu to start chipping away because you have the weakness advantage as well. So that's what's also building up towards that. Being able to hit with a Sabrina before they even get into their Charizard is also pretty sweet here as well too. So this deck is really sneaky in that sense, because you have ways to power up your Pikachu EX really fast. You have ways to build up here. You have a Dawn, so that way you can attack pretty quickly without them realizing that you're going to as well. So overall, like, is this taking over the meta as the #1 deck? No, but do you have a fighting chance against these top decks? Absolutely. Just making sure that you're maneuvering and playing right, and that's it. So yeah, y'all, that is this week's roundup for some of these new decks that will shock you, some of these hidden gems that are like in the meta that are doing well, and that may just be overshadowed by like, you know, these linear top meta decks. And so let me know down below in the comment section, if you got to this point, what is your favorite deck that you've seen in this list? And if there are other decks that are doing well for you and that haven't made it into this list, please comment them down below, so that way I can take a look at them, so that way the community can know exactly what they are, and that we can continue to enjoy this game and continue to have a diverse meta if we can make that happen. All right, y'all, until the next one, y'all, peace.